Let's get right into it. Number 10. Your body thinks you're drowning. Imagine this. You're floating weightlessly in space, gazing at the majestic swirl of the Earth below. It's a dream come true, right? Except your brain, that overprotective, paranoid control freak, thinks you're drowning. In space, without the constant pull of gravity, fluids that normally pool in your legs and lower body start rushing to your head and torso. Your face gets puffy, your neck swells, and your sinuses feel like they're hosting a pool party. This is a condition known as puffy face, bird legs syndrome. But your brain doesn't have a specific subroutine for puffy face, bird legs. Instead, it registers the increased fluid pressure in your head and thinks, "Oh no, we're underwater. The external pressure is rising and we must be suffocating." So what does your brain do? It goes into emergency mode and tries to get rid of all that extra fluid, making you incredibly thirsty. Astronauts often complain of not being able to drink enough water, but their brains are just trying to flush out a non-existent threat, basically tricking them into dehydration while floating in a state of perpetual drowning sensation. It's like your body is a dramatic actor, and its role is dying in a swimming pool, even though you're in a multi-billion-dollar spaceship. Number 9. Cosmic radiation is melting your eyeballs. You've probably heard that astronauts are exposed to more radiation in space than on Earth. That's true, but the way it hits you is disturbingly specific. Outside the protection of Earth's magnetic field, you're basically a human punching bag for high-energy particles from solar flares and deep space. These particles are tiny but pack a serious wallop. The creepiest part? When they zip through your eyeballs. Astronauts in low Earth orbit report seeing flashes of light, streaks, and strange sparks, especially when their eyes are closed. This isn't some spiritual awakening or a hallucination. It's a direct hit. These particles are slamming into your retina, exciting the light-sensitive cells and making you see light that isn't there. It's called a cosmic ray visual phenomenon. While it sounds kind of cool, like a private light show, what you're really experiencing is microscopic, the high-speed projectiles zipping through the most delicate part of your head. Long-term exposure can damage your central nervous system, lead to cataracts, and potentially increase the risk of cancer. So, while you're enjoying the view, remember that your eyes are literally being bombarded by the universe. Number 8. You're constantly on fire. In the vacuum of space, fire behaves differently. On Earth, a flame is a teardrop shape because hot air rises, pulling the flame upwards. In space, there's no gravity to create that convection current, so a flame burns in a perfect, beautiful sphere. It's a mesmerizing sight, but it also creates a bizarre paradox. Because fire needs oxygen, and the spherical shape keeps the flame's exhaust gases right around the flame, it basically suffocates itself in its own pollution. This means fire in space is far less efficient and more difficult to sustain. The disturbing truth is, you're still on fire, but in a different way. Your body is a walking inferno of metabolic activity. The average human produces about 100 watts of heat just by existing. On Earth, that heat dissipates naturally into the atmosphere. But in the hermetically sealed environment of a spaceship, that heat has nowhere to go. Without constant, powerful cooling systems, the internal temperature of a spacecraft would quickly rise to dangerous levels. So while the vacuum of space is a frigid 270 degrees Celsius, you are a tiny, self-contained sun, and the ship is a complex, high-tech radiator just trying to keep your infernal glow from boiling everyone alive. Number 7. Your bones are turning to dust. We all know bones need gravity and pressure to stay strong. It's the whole use it or lose it principle, but on a skeletal level. Every step you take, every time you sit down, the force of gravity is constantly telling your bones, hey, we need you to be strong. Don't slack off. In the weightless environment of space, your bones get the opposite message. You're all clear, pal. Kick back and relax. And they do. Astronauts lose bone density at an alarming rate, sometimes as much as 1% per month. That's like an entire decade's worth of bone loss in just 1 year. Your body is basically dissolving from the inside out. Your skull, your spine, your hips, every part of you is being slowly leached of its minerals. It's like a permanent case of advanced osteoporosis. And it's not just a matter of weak bones. The calcium and other minerals that dissolve from your bones end up floating around in your bloodstream, where they can cause a whole host of other problems, like kidney stones. So while you're floating serenely through the cosmos, your skeleton is having a silent microscopic meltdown, all because the simple, constant weight of being human has been taken away. Number 6. You can't burp or fart properly. You might think that in a zero-gravity environment the human body would be free from the trivialities of gas, but you'd be wrong. In fact, it gets much, much worse. On Earth, when you eat or drink, the gas you swallow naturally separates from the liquids in your stomach. The bubbles rise to the top, and with a satisfying burp you expel them. But in space, there is no up. Liquids and gases don't separate, they just mix together, forming a horrifying, sloshing, foamy concoction in your stomach. So when you try to burp, you don't get a clean release of air. Instead, you get a mouthful of this stomach sludge, a phenomenon affectionately known as a wet burp. It's so disgusting that astronauts actively try to avoid it. The situation isn't much better on the other end. While farts can still happen, they don't disperse normally. The gas just kind of hangs around. You're essentially trapped in a small metal box with a cloud of your own digestive output, which can be both uncomfortable and socially awkward. Your body's most basic and, frankly, most necessary bodily functions become either gross, ineffective, or a major breach of space etiquette. Number 5. Your sense of smell and taste vanish. When you're eating a meal, your sense of taste and smell are a big part of the experience. But in space, both of those senses are drastically dulled. Remember that fluid shift to your head we talked about earlier? That puffy face, bird legs thing? Well, that swelling in your head and sinuses is basically the equivalent of having a permanent head-throbbing cold. Everything gets congested. Your nasal passages are blocked, and the nerves responsible for taste and smell are either numbed or just can't do their job properly. As a result, food in space tastes bland and unappetizing. Astronauts have to resort to a diet of heavily spiced and intensely flavored foods just to get some kind of sensation. It's why things like hot sauce, horseradish, and spicy curry are staples on the International Space Station. Even something as simple as drinking a cup of coffee becomes a bizarre, flavorless ritual. Your brain and body are so focused on just surviving in this alien environment that they toss aside the more delicate, pleasurable senses, essentially turning every meal into a bland, texture-only event. Number 4. You forget how to sleep on Earth. Falling asleep is a mostly unconscious process. You lie down, you close your eyes, and your brain's internal clock, regulated by a little thing called the sun, does the rest. In space, all of that goes out the window. First off, there's no down. You can't just lie on a mattress. Instead, you strap yourself into a sleeping bag that's tethered to a wall or a ceiling. It's less like a comfy bed and more like being a human burrito shoved into a closet. And while there are designated rest periods, the concept of day and night is meaningless. The sun rises and sets 16 times a day, so your body's circadian rhythm, which governs your sleep-wake cycles, gets completely thrown into a panic. It's like a permanent case of jet lag, only the jet is a multi-billion-dollar spaceship and the destination is nowhere. Add to this the constant noise, the whirring of fans, the hum of machinery, the beep of computers, and the fact that your brain, which is used to shutting down in silence, is now trying to rest in what sounds like a server room from the 1990s. The result is that many astronauts have to take sleeping pills, and even then, they often report bizarre, vivid dreams or the sensation of falling, even though they're already falling. The one thing your body has always known how to do on its own, powering down for the night, is now a complex, medicated process you have to consciously orchestrate. Number 3. The toilet is a high-stakes machine. On Earth, a toilet is a simple, beautiful, and underappreciated miracle of modern plumbing. In space, it's a high-stakes engineering marvel that demands your full, undivided attention. You can't just sit down and let gravity do the work. The space station's toilet is basically a very advanced vacuum cleaner. To use it, you have to strap yourself onto a toilet seat that's just a few inches wide and has an airlock-like seal. This is to ensure you don't accidentally create a horrifying cloud of human waste that would then float around the cabin. There's a tiny camera to help you with alignment, which is exactly as awkward and stressful as it sounds. Then you flip a switch, and a high-powered vacuum sucks your waste into a container. If you miss, or if you don't get a proper seal, the consequences are, well, let's just say a floating turd is a catastrophic mission failure. Astronauts spend a ridiculous amount of time in training just learning how to use the toilet. It's treated with the same seriousness as a spacewalk or a complex scientific experiment, because in a closed environment, a single mistake can have a very stinky, very literal fallout. So that's what it comes down to. A billion-dollar space program relies on your ability to aim perfectly into a vacuum hose. Number 2, your muscles are vanishing. You might think that being an astronaut, a literal superhuman, means you're in peak physical condition, and you are for about the first few minutes in space. After that, your body immediately starts trying to turn you into a blob. On Earth, every single movement you make, from walking to simply holding your head up, is an act of resistance against gravity. Your muscles are constantly working, constantly under tension. In space, all of that vanishes. Without gravity, your body says, hey, we don't need these massive, powerful leg muscles anymore. Let's get rid of them. And it does. Muscles atrophy at a shocking rate. Astronauts lose up to 20% of their muscle mass in just a few months. To combat this, they have to exercise for 2 to 3 hours every single day, using a complex array of resistance training equipment and special treadmills that strap them down to simulate gravity. This isn't about getting bigger, it's about not turning into a human noodle. When they return to Earth, even after all that training, they can barely stand up. Their sense of balance is gone, and their once mighty muscles are so weak that a simple walk feels like a marathon. Your body's response to the ultimate vacation is to basically betray you, discarding the parts it no longer considers necessary for survival. Number 1, the universe makes you feel insignificant. Most people imagine looking down at Earth from space would be the single most beautiful, awe-inspiring moment of their life. And it is. Astronauts call it the overview effect. It's that profound cognitive shift you experience when you see the Earth as a tiny, fragile blue marble, a single, living organism floating in the silent blackness of the cosmos. All the lines we draw on maps, the borders, the countries, the political divides, they just vanish. You see the atmosphere as a paper-thin layer protecting all of humanity, and you feel an overwhelming sense of connection and responsibility. But here's the disturbing truth. This beautiful spiritual moment is also a glorious existential crisis. It's the ultimate paradox. You go to space to feel powerful and to conquer the unknown, and instead the universe tells you just how small you really are. It can leave you with a profound sense of isolation, and a feeling that your old life, with its trivial problems and its endless dramas, no longer makes any sense. How do you go back to worrying about traffic or your electric bill after you've seen the entirety of human history wrapped in a single fragile sphere? You're not just homesick for Earth, you're an alien on your own planet, carrying a secret that nobody else can understand. The overview effect is the ultimate cosmic joke. You leave the planet to get perspective, and you return with a perspective that makes it impossible to ever truly feel at home again. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.